the Houston Rockets select Hakeem Olajuwon of the University of Houston.
He made the draft, an event. That was one of the first things that he did. When he, pointed out, into that television audience out there that Hakeem Olajuwon, out of Houston, was going to be the #1 pick of the draft of the Houston Rockets, and then, shook his hand. A last in a lifetime memory.
For so many of the players, it's a life cycle event. The green room captures it, surrounded by their families. They didn't get here by themselves. They got here using as their aid the village that surrounds them. And for me, that's a very exciting moment. I remember them all with equal fondness because there have been some pretty spectacular players that have come walking through our doors.
With the 5th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Ray Allen from the University of Connecticut.
He's probably shaking over 1,000 hands on draft night. Welcome guys in the league, guys that had great careers, and some guys that just never heard of again. But that was the moment, the sign of ultimate success. Being in that green room, putting the hat on stage, shaking his hand, and now he symbolizes the success of any player. You shake his hand, you made it to the NBA.
With the 2nd pick in the 1992 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Alonzo Mourning from Georgetown University.
It's one of those dream come true type of moments, growing up. You play high school basketball and you watch the draft and you see players before you walking up on that stage on draft night, dressed in your Sunday's best, and you're shaking the commissioner's hand. That particular moment right then totally changed my life forever, and just to know that David Stern was a part of that moment, makes me admire him even more.
With the 5th pick in the 2003 NBA draft, the Miami Heat select Dwayne Wade from Marquette University.
Every NBA player wanted to meet at one point in their life because you want to walk up there, you want to shake his hand because you've been drafted and you're able to start your journey in your career. So I'm thankful for him for what he was able to do for this game, and wish him the best in what he decides to do from here.
With the 1st pick in the 2003 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James.
For any kid that's always had a dream about being in the NBA, to walk across that stage and shake his hand, that was a dream come true. That was awesome.
With the 6th pick in the 2001 NBA draft, the Grizzlies select Shane Battier from Duke University.
That's something you dream about as a kid. Have the commissioner call your name and go up and shake his hand, and that was a thrill for me, and it was a thrill for me to work at the NBA draft and see his last pick. He'll be missed. He'll be missed. But the NBA is in great shape, great hands, and but we owe a lot to David Stern.
Obviously, the players are the ones that have grown the game. They're the face of this league, and they're what make this all happen for all of us. But I remember growing up as a kid what the NBA was, where you could barely see it. It wasn't on TV. It certainly wasn't global. And then each decade, you saw how it changed.
The iteration of the league that was back in 84, 85 is completely different to today's game. And David Stern should go down as one of the greatest marketing minds in the history of business, and just really turned a game into an empire.
Before he took the helm, the league was stigmatized, pretty badly. He took a product and changed the overall perception of it. He made the NBA a household sport.
He's always been a visionary, and so, the draft became, bigger than ever. It became a televised event. It wasn't a coincidence that television contracts and then the NBA on CBS became staples on weekends.
The idea that the finals was shown on tape delay is just astounding to think about today. But clearly, we've gone from a situation where, you were fortunate if you could see 1 or 2 games a week to a point where you can watch, 12 games a night through League Pass. And it really is incredible how this has exploded, especially with the growth of social media. I think the league has been at the forefront of embracing social media and using it to market the league.
And this happened relatively quickly. You know, when he took over, you know, things changed. Things began to move, and I think it was his force and his vitality that did that.
The unprecedented economic growth of the NBA, fueled domestically through the expansion of television exposure and revenue, was amazingly just a part of Stern's plan. With a signature decision in the summer of 1992, he took the first of many bold steps to introduce to the world the game and his dream.
The 92 players stepping up to the podium in Barcelona to bring home the gold. This was a much maligned league and group of players for the decade or so before that, and here they were, some combination of the Beatles, the Bolshoi, and you know, the Dream Team, and the world was, you know, acclaiming them. That was very exciting.
That attracted so many young international players to want to play the game, and now we see them in our league today.
And as a result, the fact that our game is now seen in 215 countries in so many different languages, or that at the beginning of the season we had 92 players on our rosters who were not born in the continental United States, I think it speaks to the growth that we've had since 1992.
And they planted the seeds a long, long time ago. I mean, just to get to where we are today, you know, where teams will go and play games, you know, where players and coaches go and give clinics. His presence is felt all over the globalization of the NBA.
He's placed a very significant importance on how our global initiatives is extremely important through NBA Cares and Read to Achieve and Basketball Without Borders.
Shoulder square, nice. Peel back hard. Very nice. Good finish, good finish.
All of that stuff evolved, you know, because of the fact that, you know, David Stern knows that, you know, this is a global sport now.
Firsthand for myself, I go to the Philippines every summer, and now you see that it truly is an international game.
Five, back. With your eyes on the rim. Yes, there you go. Great fundamentals.
Also the interest in the fan base, seeing that worldwide, it's really incredible. It's what makes our sport so unique. Probably to all the other pro sports, and I think that's probably his greatest legacy.
He clearly had a very strong belief that that this was a game that can be enjoyed everywhere in the world, and set out to make sure that it was marketed all over the world. And I think he's done a really tremendous job of doing that.
I'd say the thing that has changed the most in the last 30 years is the high regard that the world holds our players in. They've gone from low to middle and on the pyramid, and now they sit astride the top. And they're respected for what they do on the court, and they're respected for what they do in the community.
He created a platform in which, you know, a player can jump off of and become a superstar and make a lot of money, but at the same time, you know, cross over and become a commodity and become a brand. And you know, more so than when I came in the 60s and 70s and 80s, there was very little of that.
Ever since he took over, you know, as commissioner, he's helped facilitate making the NBA a global brand. I mean, you can go to different countries and people know who we are.
He had a vision about making the game worldwide before anyone ever thought about it. Obviously, the league has benefited from it, but the players itself. I mean, players go over to China and go over to Europe, you know, without the NBA now, because of David Stern being able to put us on that pedestal. And it's given me an opportunity to be able to inspire so many kids, not only in America, not only in my hometown and my home state, but all over the world because of the vision that David Stern had 30 years ago.
While players, coaches, and owners alike have engaged over the past 30 years with a man who is as true to his last name as he is to the humble causes of community he has championed around the globe, to a man, there is one quality that unifies the feelings for the league's departing commissioner: respect.
I think the most valuable thing I have done is stand as a protector of the game. someone has to step up and say, not on my watch. It isn't always the most fun or the easiest, but that's what I did best, I think.
He would fight with the owners as much as he'd fight with the players, although the players, I don't know, always appreciated that, but it tended to be behind closed doors. But clearly, he would always fight for what he believed in, and he was a winner. He was not one to lose those arguments.
I think some players kind of see him, for lack of a better word, stern. But he has to be. When you're the leader of an organization of this magnitude, he has to make all the decisions that needs to be made to protect that brand. And I think he's done a great job of it.
Even though sometimes we're on opposing sides, because he has to have the owner's best interest at times, we've always done it together, I feel. And if you're affiliated with the NBA, and Dave Stern was your commissioner, I think you have nothing but good stories to tell about your experience with the league.
Obviously, we're losing a pioneer, but his staple will be lived on for sure.
I think he's done everything and more what he set out to do, and I think now the players have to carry the rest of the way and make sure we continue to grow it.
He's a great leader. I do believe there's a deep sense of humility about him and what he has created.
As I got to know him and as I got to work with him, I found someone who was always learning and progressing and doing whatever he could for the betterment of the game.
He's a very generous man in how he has given of himself and his life, and how he has taken this sport and given it to the world and trying to make it grow.
We're a little biased because we played the game. But he's the top 1 or 2 commissioners in the history of sport, because of how he turned the sport around.
I've always sort of said he's probably the greatest coach in the history of the NBA.
Leaving with a legacy of unquestioned achievements for the game he led and loves, Stern also shares a special and more specific connection with Heat fans.
I'm pleased to announce that the Board of Governors of the National Basketball Association has decided that it will expand the National Basketball Association. The first 2 teams will be Charlotte, North Carolina, and Miami, Florida.
Having ushered in the franchise in an era of expansion near the beginning of his tenure, Stern departs having crowned his last champion right here at American Airlines Arena.
There can only be one winner of tonight's game, one winner of the NBA Finals, and one 2013, the back-to-back Miami Heat champions. Let's give them the trophy.
We talked about it on the stage that having that last moment in June and then his last ring ceremony was very special, and I'm hoping we can have similar firsts with Adam Silver. That would be fun.